Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are in the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from Durban, South Africa to the world. I am Bibi Amina Fili and this is Let's Sit Down. Joining me to have this conversation is Nomayeza Khambule. Welcome to Let's Sit Down.
Thank you for having me, Amina. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. All right, so let's get straight into it. What exactly does a doula do, and how long does it take to become a doula?
I'm going to begin with your latter question, which where you asked how long does it take to be a doula. It takes 6 months in training with the training group that I worked with, which is called Rooms. Where you have your 20 hours of practical sessions as well as your theory, which then encompasses an exam before you can be considered qualified. And essentially what a doula is, it's a woman who's there to support another woman during labor, where we provide emotional as well as psychological and physical support, because we know that there's a lot of power in the mind. So if a person is feeling okay and they're feeling secure and safe and empowered, then the chances of them higher and can decrease their hours of labor.
All right, so why are doulas peculiar?
I think, especially in South Africa, if you look at it from the medical point of view, it hasn't been around for too long. However, from our African homes and looking at history, it hasn't been such a strange concept. It's just a different term that we're using now, which is a Greek term. But you know, in our culture, in the Zulu culture particularly, a woman who is it's only now that we're being recognized or actually are being allowed to go into birthing homes or the maternity ward to actually support or be part of the birthing team that a woman has chosen, be it a midwife or a gynecologist. That is actually recognized now. You know, it wasn't really something that was allowed back then.
Absolutely. So why would a woman, I know you did give me a bit of an explanation in your previous answer, but why would a woman need a doula?
Okay, so when a woman gives birth, there's essentially a birthing team that she can choose, provided that she's privileged enough to do so. This encompasses a gynecologist or a midwife, including a doula if she so wishes to have one. And now I would suggest, or I would actually promote that a woman has a doula, because you have the medical person who's taking care of you, as well as the person who's there to provide the psychological support. I'm there to love you, basically. So what a doula does, whatever your birthing wish is, if you wish to birth squatting, if you want to birth laying down, if you're not feeling okay, if you have any fears, I am there to work through those fears and reservations with you, so that by the time the active labor comes, you're in a much calmer state. You don't want a woman tensing up during labor. You don't want her feeling nervous or scared, because whatever you think obviously will affect your body and how your body then functions. You know, and it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. It's such an empowering experience. It should feel like that. It should be that. Women shouldn't go into labor feeling scared.
Absolutely.
So we have your prenatal care, you have your during labor and your postnatal care as well.
Okay, so now what major differences exist between the conventional childbirth and the practices of a doula?
Well, it's not really different. It depends on what the woman wants. If a woman wants to have a home birth, I am able to support that. I'm there to support what the woman wants. If she wants to give birth in a birthing home, then I do that. If she wants to give birth in a hospital and she's having a cesarean, that's great as well. We're not limited to just home births. We are all encompassing of whatever a woman is comfortable with and what her birthing wish is. So whatever that she wants, if it's a hospital, a birthing home, or at home, in a pool, whatever is her wish, we just wish to make that happen. You know, as long as it's safe, then we are in full support of that.
Absolutely. So in what circumstances would you say the role of a doula is inevitable?
You know, it's something that we don't really want to happen, it's a circumstance where unfortunately a baby doesn't make it, which is something called a bereavement doula. As I said, that a doula is more of a psychological and physiological and emotional support. So I think in that situation, especially when you're talking about inevitability, I think once a mother, unfortunately does not get to bring her baby home, then it's inevitable, or it's completely recommended for a woman to have a bereavement doula, to go through the process of grieving for her child and getting the proper emotional support for that.
All right. So, what are the challenges attributed to being a doula in South Africa?
I think in a lot of places currently, there's just a few places that actually allow doulas in, because there's this idea that we're not medical professionals, so there's no point in having a doula actually being there during the birthing. So we are still trying as a collective, doulas across the country, to actually infiltrate the system and get into hospitals. When a woman is giving birth at home in a birthing center, we have more freedom and access. However, some hospitals still haven't allowed doulas to actually enter hospitals during birthing. So it just takes a bit of time and trust, I think, between the medical professionals and ourselves, so that we can actually work as a team instead of being seen as two opposing teams, But we are getting there. About 15 minutes away from I live, we are able to actually do our work in a government hospital, and we provide so much support to the midwives instead of working on opposite teams. So slowly but surely we are getting there. It's just taking a bit of time because it's not something that's been around in South Africa for a long time.
Absolutely. So just to end our conversation this afternoon, what advice would you give an aspiring doula?
Just to go for it. I mean, there's different institutions which have different criteria. With the institution that I studied with, you have to have given birth yourself to become a doula, because you have to have known the experience of birthing to know what another woman is going through.
Absolutely.
But there are institutions that don't necessarily have that limitations, and I think that's great, because not all women are blessed with the ability to give birth, and they shouldn't be limited to being doulas because of that reason.
Yes.
It's a 6-month course. It's really quick. It's extremely empowering, and you gain more experience as you go along. So I think it's something that women should consider doing if they're not completely disgusted by birth. Unfortunately, we have people who feel like it's just such an apprehensive
it's
experience.
A bit too much. Yeah.
But if I think that if anybody wants to go into it, they should definitely look into it. I am availing myself for any questions regarding where people can register for such a course. So they could just, I'll leave my details with you, email and telephone, and they can just contact me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Nomayeza, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. And please, I just want to say to look out for our doula page that's going to be launching very soon. And we are looking forward to working with a lot of women of color. There's doulas of color, midwives of color, trying to, get their names and their faces out there to support women. But thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for watching today's edition of Let's Sit Down with myself, Bibi Amina Fili. And don't forget to join us every weekend as we give you your amazing dose of what's happening around us. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. And if you'd like to send your feedback, you can send it to Let's Sit Down with bsouthafrica@gmail.com. From us here, the team, it's a goodbye for now.
جيت عالدنيا وفي أول ثانية فتحت عيوني خرجت من السكون.